There is an old saying in the Formula One paddock: no matter how impenetrable a fortress appears, the greatest threat of destruction always comes from within. By May 2026, the fortress built by Mercedes in Brackley looked absolutely bulletproof. A 19-year-old prodigy, Kimi Antonelli, was tearing the grid apart as if it were a toy. 5 consecutive victories: China, Japan, Miami, Canada, and Monaco. Decades-old records were collapsing like a house of cards. Mercedes wasn't just hoping to win the championship, they were simply deciding which of their own drivers would take the crown. Nobody inside that camp was looking outward. Nobody honestly believed that the man they willingly let go a year prior would one day stand outside their gates holding a sledgehammer. Sunday, Barcelona. When smoke begins pouring from Kimi Antonelli's car, it isn't just an engine that breaks. It's the absolute certainty of Mercedes' dominance. Because lurking right behind them, emerging from the shadows in a scarlet car, is the one ghost Toto Wolff feared the most. Lewis Hamilton is back, and this time he's wielding the flag of Maranello. To understand the weight of this moment, you have to look back at 2025, the darkest chapter of Hamilton's career. After an 11-year legacy and 6 world titles with Mercedes, his historic move to Ferrari was supposed to rewrite history. Instead, it yielded absolute silence. 0 podiums. For the first time in his 19-year career, Hamilton went an entire season without standing on a single Grand Prix podium. His teammate, Charles Leclerc, beat him by a staggering 86 points. The pundits openly asked the question, is the greatest of a generation finally finished? But the radical 2026 technical regulations offered a completely clean sheet of paper. And buried deep within that clean sheet, Ferrari executed a silent mid-season modification that went entirely unnoticed by the media. Early in the year, Hamilton was fighting the front end of his car, unable to attack the corners with his signature confidence. In response, Ferrari's engineers quietly swapped a single hidden component on his setup sheet. They discarded their current brakes and switched to the exact supplier Hamilton had relied on for over a decade at Mercedes. To an ordinary fan, it's an invisible detail. To a 7-time world champion, it is the entire world. The moment the trusted brakes were fitted, the connection to the front axle clicked back into place. The confidence returned. Back-to-back podiums in Canada and Monaco sent a definitive warning shot across the paddock. The storm was gathering. Then came Barcelona, a punishing high downforce circuit that exposes every hidden flaw in a chassis and rewards absolute mechanical precision. Hamilton arrived as a massive underdog, sitting 41 points adrift of the championship leader. The race began with Mercedes commanding the field from the front, business as usual. But Ferrari and Hamilton had engineered a ruthless counter-strategy, a high-stakes gamble that would either completely ruin their race or cement a legendary victory. 3 pit stops. Conventional wisdom in Spain dictates a 2-stop strategy because losing time in the pit lane is usually a death sentence. But 3 stops meant one crucial thing: blistering, lethal pace on fresh rubber during the final stints of the race. Then, fate intervened. A virtual safety car was deployed at the exact mathematical window Ferrari needed. Hamilton's strategy aligned perfectly with the caution period, cycling him to the front of the grid on superior rubber. The strategy was a masterstroke, but the real drama was about to fracture the field. Just as Hamilton pulled clear into clean air, the Mercedes Fortress cracked wide open. Kimi Antonelli's power unit suffered a catastrophic failure, forcing the championship leader to pull off the track. A devastating 0 for Antonelli, maximum points for Hamilton. At 41 years old, Lewis Hamilton crossed the line to become the oldest Grand Prix winner since 1970. It marked Ferrari's 249th historic victory, anchoring an all-British podium with George Russell and Lando Norris for the first time since 1968. The shockwaves of that victory resonated far louder in the Mercedes camp than they did in the celebrations at Ferrari. No one alive understands the relentless nature of a victorious Lewis Hamilton better than Toto Wolff. For 11 years, they built an empire together. When asked point-blank by reporters after the race if Hamilton was now a genuine threat to their world title, Wolff didn't hesitate. Yes, absolutely. He then uttered the words that should deeply trouble every Mercedes fan. If he smells blood, he goes. Wolff knows that the internal switch inside Hamilton has been flipped. The momentum has started to roll, and historically, once that train gathers speed, it becomes impossible to derail. And it wasn't just Wolff sounding the alarm. Hamilton's fiercest, most bitter rival, Nico Rosberg, stood trackside and labelled the performance legendary. Rosberg, the only man to push Hamilton to the absolute brink and beat him in equal machinery in 2016, explained that Hamilton has entered a dangerous positive spiral, where results breed motivation, motivation fuels work ethic, and hard work guarantees more wins. When asked if the 8th world title was actually realistic for Ferrari, Rosberg's verdict was concise. They should, and they can. Mercedes still possesses the outright fastest car on the grid. But their biggest enemy is no longer the scarlet car behind them. It is their own reliability. A power unit failure for Russell in Canada, followed by an identical disaster for Antonelli in Barcelona. 2 critical failures in 3 races isn't bad luck. It's a systemic vulnerability. And the oldest truth in motorsport remains absolute. To finish first, you have to finish. The drivers' standings now show Antonelli leading at 156 points, with Hamilton hunting him down at 115. The gap has shrunk to just 41 points, with 15 rounds remaining. One more engine failure for Brackley, and that entire margin vanishes into thin air. Compounding their anxiety, the rest of the grid is in complete chaos. McLaren has collapsed under reliability issues, and Max Verstappen is buried in 7th, deeply frustrated with the current machinery. The road is clearing directly ahead of Hamilton. 12 months ago, the sport was ready to write Lewis Hamilton off as a punchline. Today, he is holding the hammer at the gates of the team that built him. The fortress is no longer safe. Next up is Austria, and the question is no longer how fast Mercedes can run, it's whether they have any power left to stop him. If you want to watch this 2026 title fight unfold race by race, make sure to subscribe. This story is just getting started.